One of the issues that progressives have been fighting for years on, decades, is food insecurity. There are lots of places in America and lots of places in every city where people don't have access to the food they need. Sometimes because there aren't physical locations for them to source. They may only have a dollar store nearby for their source of groceries. And sometimes because they can't economically, access the food sources. They're too poor to buy food. And conservatives have fought against that and said, "Oh no, hunger is not a problem in America. Hunger is not a problem in America." And they've been pushing that narrative for just as long, because if you actually address the problem of food insecurity, that means you have to start addressing capitalism. And conservatives do not want you to start addressing capitalism. No, 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 no. They want capitalism to be left all alone and be able to expand as much as it wants without restraint. And if people starve to death because of that, they're okay. They just don't want to publicly admit that capitalism is the reason that people in America are hungry, that children aren't getting food, so they're not developing properly. They want those people to be permanently poor so they can exploit them. Because if you can get somebody who is desperate for an income, then you can exploit that person because they're less likely to quit because they don't have many options. And one of the tools of progressives has been actual data that was being collected by the USDA about food insecurity, about hunger in America. Well, the USDA is now officially no longer collecting that data. So you see, if you don't collect the data, then the data can't tell you there are hungry people. And if there are no reports that there are hungry people, obviously there are no hungry people. Because that's what the conservatives in charge, what the Nazi Party wants to be able to tell the world. There are no hungry people in America, which would be about as much sense as North Korea telling us there is no hunger in North Korea. When in fact we know that people have vast amounts of food insecurity in North Korea. People regularly are malnourished. That military bases have had to start growing their own food because they didn't have enough access to food for the troops. But as long as they don't collect that data, and as long as they keep these things secret, they can tell the world there is no hunger in North Korea. Just like Taco the Clown will be able to very shortly say, we have no hunger in America. Because there will be no data about hunger in America. So if you don't collect the data, obviously the situation doesn't exist. It's really quite simple. Does anybody else see a flaw in that?